Okay, so I'm going to continue casting Iceman vs. Magician. My goal is to get through 8 games and split the video into 2 parts, so it's 4 games per video, and then I'll upload them subsequently. So, yeah, so let's start on high rise. It's any 3 of 5 missions. Iceman is spy, Magician is sniper. Let's think about what's on and off. Contact is on, transfer is on, swap is on, steers is on, fingerprint is on, bug is off, co-learn is off, inspect is off, and one more, no, that's 8. So, what do I think of the choices? I mean, I'm not going to do a lot of analysis about people's choices because I think people should be able to choose whatever they want and experiment. I don't love contact in this map. Swap is interesting just because there are a lot of statues, but it is feasible to see all of them. And then I think inspect is pretty difficult to get done. So let's just watch and see how it plays out. So right now it looks like Magician grabbing that bug. I don't know what else Magician could be looking at. Maybe just checking out where an ambassador is. Looks like there was a highlight for that statue. Did Magician see that statue? Because that first pass could have been just looking at statues. But I don't... Oh, yeah, okay, so the first thing Magician does is gets the statue. That's what happens. And then highlights the person who's at statues. I think that angle didn't hurt too much because the ambassador wasn't really in a buggable spot, and I think that's what let Magician make the decision to go over to the statues, but it sort of did give up a lot of a view, but you sort of do need to get that statue early to check for the swap. So I think it looked like Magician made a pretty cautious play. I want to go back over some of these highlights because I'm curious where they came from, and I wasn't paying attention. It looks like Iceman's trying to complete the fingerprint. I'm curious. I don't think it's going to work because the fingerprint only... the timing on that for Iceman was a little bit off because fingerprint, you can only get the fingerprint once the ambassador puts back the book. So the fact that Snap gets the bookcase soon after the ambassador gets there and picks it up right before the ambassador decides to put the book away is sort of unfortunate. So, sort of gets nothing done. Isn't highlight for it. Highlights is pretty difficult for both players just because you only have to do 3 missions. Statue swap and get shot for it. Chooses the top of the swap. Sees it, shoots for it. So let me finish my thought. You don't only have to get 3 missions done, and 3 missions isn't a lot. But then there are only 5 missions to pay attention to, so you can reasonably track all of them, or try to. And it's hard to sniper because you can easily get suspicious of someone who's not the spy. But with enough behavioral analysis, you can have a sense of who might be spying and who's not. I'm gonna watch this again quickly because I'm curious about 2 highlights. The highlight in blue dress comes from the statues, and I'm a little bit curious about the highlight on orange dress. I think the highlight on orange dress might have been leaving CC and re-entering, and then the decision to get to neutralize her for that nice briefcase. I actually don't think a spy would typically exit and re-enter that quickly. I think typically we're trained to not be that suspicious, which is interesting because sometimes I actually think being ballsy and doing a move like that, even though it's risky, it actually can pay off because the sniper isn't expecting a spy to play that risky. Other than that, I think Iceman's timing was a little unfortunate here. Here's another thing I want to think about just a little bit, because it's something that is important, is you want to, especially on a map like this, where DA is on, when a banana bread can happen and should happen are really important things. So, like, none of this time the DA is in a conversation circle, so you expect that banana bread is probably not going to go off, and if it goes off, you don't really care about it because you know it has to be fake. DA's only one suspected double agent is in a CC, but not a great time. but then the suspected double agent, a suspected double agent, enters the CC in the back. Now is possibly the best time for someone to bend, but it does give a lot of low lights. It would give 3 low lights, snaps, Blondo, and I mean obviously it can't be Nanobit because the spy's out of conversation table. But the point is, as a sniper, you don't know that. So it would give 3 low lights, but really this is about as full as you're going to be expecting. Maybe you hope that the other CC is full. So either you, as spy, don't want to banana bread, but as sniper you can come to 1 or 2 conclusions, or a couple of conclusions potentially. You can guess that maybe Orange Jess is not a spy because she leaves, and if General were the real double agent, she'd want to stay there and wait for a better chance of banana bread. You can also guess potentially that after a couple of seconds, either that General is not the real double agent because no one's banana breading and no one's entering the CC to go get that banana bread, or just that no one in the current CC with with that double agent is a spy. But I mean, that kind of analysis is shaky and not perfect, but it's at least important to note how powerful keeping track of when banana breads could potentially be happening is, especially in a map like this. But the swap happens, Magician is tracking it, catches it, and then shoots for it, and Iceman dies. So, I think the decision to swap there is interesting because it mirrors the decision to swap the last game, the Panopticon game that I casted, where Iceman again decided to swap at a potentially inopportune time and potentially banks on the sniper not thinking about it and not checking about it. The other thing is, let's see, I'm interested in the decision to swap here and not a pad over. I'm gesturing with my mouse, but you probably can't see it. Or maybe you can, I don't know. But if we talk about the pad that's next to the spy, so maybe I'll gesture as sniper. Can I see it? So the pad here it's a lot better hidden by the curtain, so you'd be able to see it when the person picked it up, but it has a lot less the sniper has a lot less visibility on it, so it's actually a better swapping position. Same for sniper. Same for one of these 2 statues. Those 2 statues are hidden when you turn around, so they have less visibility, and these 2 statues have less visibility. So, I mean, you don't necessarily always want to swap to these statues. These statues have a lot of visibility when the sniper comes over here, but this vantage point isn't the most beneficial for the sniper, so the probability is that they'll stay in this area, and then when they need to, they'll jack up. But, so, because of the visibility thing, I don't know that statue is necessarily the best to swap, and I don't know the timing was great, but that's all I have to say about it. Okay, I'm going to move on. Magician is spy, Iceman a sniper, bug, contact, inspect, seduce, fingerprint. So 4 soft tails and 1 hardtail being bug, and bug is, I think, possibly the most feasible. Hardtail in general, it's possibly easy to get away with in general. First of all, just because there isn't any. If the sniper misses it, the sniper doesn't know what happened, unlike swap and throwing. And second of all, just because you can do it, it takes 2 seconds, and you can easily try and manipulate either the sniper's attention or get away with it, even if they're looking at it. You can hide the animation. For all of these things, we find good opportunities to bug the ambassador, so all of these things make bug a pretty powerful mission. It doesn't mean it's always going to be easy, you should always do it. You should definitely not always do it, because then it's predictable. But I really like bug, and I think bug on this map is definitely valuable. So, low lights on cast members, typical, doesn't need to memorize statues, so it isn't going to, which is good. Should at least have a sense of the ambassador being at the replica case, just because you want to know where the potential fingerprint spots are. Highlights ambassador. weird path from Magician. So Magician decides to go aggressively for the fingerprint, which was first of all a little fast, just like the timing in between when the ambassador left and Magician arrived at the bookcase is a little suspicious, but also the path to the bookcase was a little weird. But I'm curious to see if Magician gets highlight, because it looks like Magician's not going to get highlight. And highlight, but Iceman is tracking fingerprints to some extent, because Iceman highlight for the briefcase. Let's see what else is going down. Seduce. Looks like the Magician missed the seduction opportunity. It's going to inspect 3. So this is another thing, is why inspects are so difficult on this map, because you need 3. So really the only place you can get 3 with only 1 visit is this middle statue, so you should be suspicious of it, especially on any 3 of 5 where you only need to do 3 missions. You should be suspicious of anyone who takes middle statues or who goes to statues twice. So I'm sure Iceman's going to highlight Magician. Well, not positive, but I would expect it. Highlighting for briefcase, which is interesting, is I think Iceman's making the prediction that Magician is going to fingerprint, or at least highly suspects it. Watches for the bug, which is a reasonable play, but so far both highlights, no highlights for statues, I think is slightly surprising, but 2 highlights for potential fingerprint. Selection is getting done. Anything else to talk about while I'm waiting for Magician to finish? Leaves conversation, goes for the second fingerprint, gets highlight for the fingerprint actually, which is a good tracking by Iceman to remember that the ambassador was there last. I'm curious whether that makes him the top suspect at the moment. And that entrance into CC wasn't my favorite. I don't like that it was that direct. I think that kind of direct entrance can be fairly suspicious. Okay, so the other thing is something I maybe learned when I was playing this last, is the decision by Magician to take away a book, especially at this moment in the game. Okay, so thought, and then I'll think about the shot. So the decision to take away the book when what you need is the last flirt is something that I was playing a game where basically I got stuck because I did that, because I took a book and tried to go flirt, and my SD kept going to mission sites like the other bookcase or to statues, and you sort of want to be able to take advantage of those mission sites on this map or on other maps, and so taking that book sort of prevent other maps. It's not as important because there typically will be a chance to go meet up with them somewhere else. On this map, there isn't a whole lot of chances for your ST to be in CC and stay there for the times you need. I mean, you can get them, and you can get them to stay there, and you can finish your flirts. I don't think finishing flirts is a huge problem on this map, especially with the amount of time you have. But taking a book severely restricts your ability to finish flirts, because there's a high likelihood that the ST will go to a bookcase that you don't really want to go to because it'll look like you transferred, or the ST will go to a statue. So let's talk about the shot. The shot happens because White Danger inspects. So let's see. Could have done 2 fingerprints, so I missed the second fingerprint. So Iceman is definitely tracking fingerprints. So Ambassador is actually doing really active with fingerprints. So White Danger could have finished fourth potentially. I think White Danger probably has the opportunity. I'm not going to watch the entire video, but I'm going to say that even if it doesn't, use some suspicion you've seen him talking, that he could potentially be done, and then shot for the inspect. And I think the shot is reasonable because he is being suspicious, but he can't be done because he's only gone to one set of statues, and that's sometimes hard to remember, and you need to take the shot when you're clear. I don't know why he was the top suspect, other than maybe potentially finishing the fingerprint, but I don't know if like Iceman's patience would have helped. I don't know if Iceman would have been able to shoot for the seduce. I think it's feasible, but the decision to shoot there is bad. It's just I think slightly paying greater attention to whether White Danger could have finished or not would have allowed Iceman to know that in fact White Danger couldn't have finished with those inspects and still would have needed another statue, and as soon as he goes to a second set of statues, then you shoot him. Yeah, that's it. I don't have a whole lot more to say on this map. I sort of like the NE385 mode. It's really interesting. Only have to complete 3 missions, but it's also pretty difficult. Okay. Veranda. Veranda is actually a really fun map. I like Veranda a lot. I like the two-sidedness, and I like the lots of statues because it makes swaps so interesting, because it's not hard to have all 8 statues memorized, but it's easy to mismemorize. It's a lot of information. Okay, so getting statues, but also watching Preliminary Bug, which is a strong play. That's like Veranda is the hardest, not the hardest, but actually I'm going to say one of the hardest maps in terms of early start play, because you have to, like with the 2 sides of the map, you're going to have to let go of one side of the map when you want to try and, if you want to get all the statues. So, interesting decision to fake Banana Bread there. Just to see, like the split was I think the fake Banana Bread the goal was for the split, which ends up getting him highlight, I think, for the split, actually, not for the statues. But, either way, Iceman's plan seems to be to get the low light off of that split because of the fake Banana Bread, and ends up with a highlight, so that's unfortunate. And even more so, it's highly possible that Iceman thinks that he has the low light. Okay, so this is the thing that I was saying earlier about Veranda, but I guess it's worth repeating. Veranda is all about, could have seen the microfilm actually. The microfilm was in view, but it's so easy to miss like tests that it's easy to miss, and it was fairly well timed because it starts only the hand animation is visible when Iceman comes back around. But as I was saying, Veranda is all about managing both sides of the map and knowing where the potential mission sites are. So here it's obviously the Ambassador and Toby. So the problem is, in order to guard the Ambassador and Toby in this part, is you have to actually be on the side of the map to see both things. And if you stick on the side of the map, you give leeway to spies to do what Iceman just did, which is to transfer at the blue bookcase or to swap. And this is where I feel like even where the concept of giving suspects credit for having completed missions. So I would try to note, for instance, that blue suit or red tie was at the blue bookcase and could have microfilmed, and so be more suspicious of him when he goes to different bookcases, instead of necessarily having to catch the actual mission. You can give up some information to gain information. So information trading a sniper and a spy is important. Where the spy can trade information by banana breading or purloining or swapping. It gives so Magician has this banana bread and banana bread and it's a good guard. Suspecting that that's going to happen. I was going to say that before I said that, I was going to say that Iceman's decisions to banana bread have actually given up most of the cast. It gave the Magician a fair number of lowlights, almost the entire cast, with only a couple highlights, including Spy. The decision to purloin, I'm actually curious whether it was made before the banana bread happened. That pathing out of CC actually missed, because it was bad. I think that path looked a little wide. Okay, so yeah, that path into CC was bad. I didn't catch it from Sniper's perspective. I also think that, as I was saying, that path looks a little wide, but I'm not one to talk about pathing. Yeah, it could have been caught, but it wasn't. I don't think. It may have actually been caught by the Magician. It wasn't caught by me. So the decision to banana bread, I'm curious whether it happened when Toby came out. Actually, it doesn't look like Iceman was setting it up, which I think is somewhat unfortunate. Like, the decision to put in here probably came as like, I just banana breaded and Toby's here, why not try to use distraction? But I think the timing there is a little off. I think that you sort of want to move those two at least a little bit close together. So, banana bread, call Toby over, wait till Toby's there. Here you would have lost out on an opportunity because the DA leaves, but if you get Toby to come over, you call him over, he comes over, and right as he comes over, you banana bread. And then you can, or like, there are two things you can do. You can purloin and hope for green purloin, or if you get a white, try to banana bread to cover it up. The other thing you can do is do the banana bread and wait a second and see what the sniper does. And if the sniper goes away, then you purloin. And if the sniper doesn't go away, then you don't purloin. But in either case, I think that the spacing here between banana bread and purloin was a little bit too far, that it gave Magician time to go around, finish low lighting, come back, be suspicious of this purloin, thinking the chaining between banana bread and purloin, and it gets Iceman shot. So, yeah, I think it was a good play by Magician to be suspicious of it, but I think his initial reaction to low light, which is a typical reaction, could have potentially given Iceman the time that Iceman needed to purloin without being caught. Okay. Magician's done. Watching Toby and Ambassador and giving up statues on the other side currently, which is a reasonable play. That's why early render is actually difficult. Yeah, the statue swap goes off without. I don't think Magician got a chance to see the statue. Statue swaps happens. Yeah. No, Magician doesn't see the original statue, but highlights probably has some idea of, at least probably says, okay, Blue Danger could have potentially swapped. I don't know if he has. So Iceman says that. Sorry, I don't know if I got the players confused. But the swap comes off. Magician rightfully notes that Iceman didn't have a chance to see the statue. Leaves that CC conversation to go a little early. And the straight entrance, the direct entrance, I don't love. I think that's something that spies like to do a lot. Although the bug does come off, and it looks pretty clean. It looks like it was all hidden. Let me watch it again, because I didn't see it at all. Yeah, well, that's because Iceman wasn't looking at it at all, and was focused on the line. I don't know if this was intentional, but this is something that I've seen players like KCM do or talk about, which is managing the sniper's attention on purloin can help you figure out when it's a good time to get missions done. So I think I've heard KCM talk about chaining or using purloin as a way to get away with books. So when the sniper goes to look at whether the guest list is still there, you do the action test for the microphone removal. But I think that can be true for bug as well, as the sniper does need that moment to go figure it out. So I'm going to play as interactive sniper camera and see if I see it from this perspective. I actually don't. Maybe a little bit of a lean, but not this perspective. How about this one? Okay, well, obviously from this angle I can see it. If I look at, I'm actually curious what angles work and what angles don't. This is actually a really nice bug. It's really well hidden between people. There aren't a whole lot of angles that it would have been caught from. I mean, you can potentially tell by the subtle movement by Blue Danger. He has a couple of potential leans or tells, and I'm actually struggling to see it at the moment, so I'm not going to try and explain those. I'm just going to comment that it's well timed and well executed, well hidden, and a very nice bug. I think that even if you're trying to guard the ambassador and you're looking from this perspective, for instance, unless you're looking from this perspective, which seems sound like counterintuitive, it's hard to see, and there's so much going on under, it's somewhat hard to give up so much other potential things that are going on just to focus on the ambassador that heavily. But it's a really good play, and it's a really good bug. You should use it. Low light. I'm going to say that blue light probably comes from being idle, because it doesn't look like he's doing much. I can't say for sure, but oh, low light was accidental, intended to low light the double agent. Highlights maybe for going by ambassador. Statues are inspected. I think Magician has this game, has 2 hardtails done, just needs soft tails. I don't know if I love that turnaround. He is highlight and should either be first or second suspect in terms of top. So like either top or close. And yeah, that bouncing was pretty bad and could have been caught. But really only needs to finish the deuce and banana bread and will probably win when those 2 things happen. I think Bondio is not doing a whole lot and probably could be reasonably folded. Marking books. So this decision to zoom in and mark those books and give up a lot of other information seems to me to not be the greatest idea, but whatever. It didn't hurt it. I mean, it didn't hurt Iceman a whole lot, but it did give up a lot of potential information. Banana bread. So let's think about that banana bread. Double agents are currently out of CZ. You don't expect a banana bread. Now this double agent enters. Now it's a really good time to BB. So one of these 3 people should, but they don't. And then this double agent enters conversation, and still good chances banana bread. So any of these people should banana bread, or people in this conversation, or someone trying to fake in one of the other conversations. But the white test comes off, Blue Danger talks, does banana bread at a time that would be reasonable, and gets shot for the banana bread. So that was a really nice shot by Iceman. I like that shot. I'm not sure how much Iceman was suspicious of. I don't think he caught that bug. I don't think he caught the swap. It's very possible he caught some of the pathing, because there was some bad pathing, and I think Magician was a little bit active. But I think the call in that shot for the banana bread, the white banana bread, was a really good call, because I had predicted that I thought Magician would win that game. But I can't say for certain what Iceman's thinking was in going for the shot. But I think it was a banana bread that you could expect. You could reasonably expect Blue Danger to want a banana bread there. You see Blue Danger talking at a time where it makes sense that Blue Danger actually did do that banana bread, and potentially Blue Danger is being fishy, and you've seen Blue Danger be fishy, so you need to take that shot. So it's a really nice shot. Okay, so that was 4 maps. So that was probably part 1, and then I'm going to talk about probably 4 more, and that'll be part 2, and that'll be it. I think that might be the end of Out. We'll see.